That was a long closing. I didn't realize that. What's going on?
I was wondering why this time I was ready, but now it makes sense. I was sitting there like, and then you went to another commercial. But anyway, that's fine.
I know I messed it up. I got to reverse. But anyways, we're live. We're back.
What is that background you have there? Where are you right now?
I'm in Florida at my parents' place.
Are you taking a vacation?
The kids are.
Oh.
As an entrepreneur, sometimes if you ain't working, you ain't making no money. So
yeah. I'm just glad you said the word ain't. It makes me feel better about myself.
I know. So yep, we're here. We're live. Facebook user, whomever that may be. What's up, guys? We are here.
I think that's Brian.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, Brian.
What's up, Brian? We'll assume it's Brian. What's up, Brian? Ain't is a word. Yes, it is. See? It must be Brian.
It's Brian.
So one of the big things we got going on this week is tomorrow. My favorite time is free training for everybody. Tomorrow, go to our website, go.jtf214.com, and it's time for our monthly training where we are going to do online sales scripts. How to create sales scripts that close deals. And as always, Donald Miller starts the first half, this team over at Story Brand. And then those that use this link come into our Zoom room and we do one-on-one with you and help you create a sales script to help close more deals. This formula actually works. This formula actually works. And it is, I used this during the Bunkerlabs event for our actual pitch, and it works. It makes sense. So if you're interested in it, check it out. But again, shout out to Bunkerlabs because our guest today is also Bunkerlabs alum.
What's going on with all this Bunkerlabs stuff, man? We have all this like stuff going on. I don't understand.
I'm telling you, it's a great organization. But we met today. We met Justin Moore, who's our legend today. The dude has got a story, he's
you talking about the country singer?
Is there a country singer named Justin Moore? I don't know.
Heck yeah. Come on, Marty. We got Justin Moore on the show today. That's amazing.
That must be new country. I don't listen to new country. I listen to old country. So no, Justin is awesome. He's an Air Force guy, has an amazing story. And his company is Agoge Life. And we actually had it at Bunkerlabs DC. He was there with the blender, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. It was actually, I can't say enough great things about it, but I'm ready to bring him on. Do you have any pre-planned questions for him?
I was just going to ask my favorite question, why this book? Why now? I'm ready for that question to be asked during this.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Let's bring him on. You ready?
Let's do it. Let's go. Yes.
57 weeks in a row. 70.
Love it.
Welcome, fellow Bunkerlabs alum.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, brother. No, we just finished Bunkerlabs Veterans in Residence 22 Alpha, and really got to know you and your company. And I loved it. One of the things is because you started some business before, you provided so much insight to the group that we were in. I think the first thing you did was introduce everybody to beautiful AI. And that was like, everybody was playing with that at first. So it's pretty awesome. So, but I'm excited now to introduce you to our group and the 20,000 fans of Lounge with Legends. So thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I don't have a country music intro. But I'll tell you a quick story. I was out in Nevada about 10 years ago, and I went into the Golden Nugget, and they had, maybe they still have it, a country restaurant, and they have like a mechanical bull and the whole bit. So I go in there, and I was there for a conference, and I walk in, and they ID me. And back when I was still getting ID'd, and they said, Justin Moore. I was like, yeah. They're like, you're Justin Moore? And I was like, yeah. They're like, where's your crew at? And I was kind of like, I didn't know what they're like. how tall are you? And I was, because Justin Moore is like 5'7", and I'm a little taller than that. She's like, well, you're not the Justin Moore. And I'm like, can I still have my beer? Like, no, sorry to hurt your feelings. I'm not the guy, but yeah. So that's how I learned about Justin Moore. So I gave him. He has some great music though. It's Marty. I'm more of an old school country music person, but Justin Moore's got some good songs. So.
Oh, I'll check it out. Man, we've got the comments coming in. We've got obviously Donnell.
What's up, Donnell?
Throwing the support. James, I think this one's for you.
It is. I have no excuse. I was going to actually hand deliver this hat to him. It's right here. I have it right here. It's waiting for him.
That looks like the one you wear every day. Are you going to give him one you wear every day?
Why do you keep calling me out? You're not. You're supposed to support me. That's what I thought we were supposed to be like.
I'm just saying. Man. So so the comments are coming in. I'll try to keep up with them as they come in. But Justin, you started in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm. I did.
And that was what led you to the Air Force?
A high ASVAB score first. So I'll go ahead and
you didn't need Donnell, is what it is. Donnell would have had you in the Army.
Right.
Yeah. No, I actually was in high school, and I have a lot of energy, and so something called ADHD, and so it didn't do well for me in high school. But as an entrepreneur, it's fantastic because I can go, right? But as a kid, it was troublesome, and my grades weren't so good, but I could do well when I concentrated, and so. I sat down one day and I did my selective service card, and I was 17. You got to do it before you're 18. And some E5 recruiter got my card, dialed for dollars, and picked the phone, and I answered it. Is this Justin? Yes. Justin, what are you going to do with your life? And I was kind of like, it was like November of my senior year of high school. We were looking at colleges and stuff, and I just wasn't too excited about it. And I said, I really don't know. And this is just like the voice of God, right? And he goes, well, my name is Staff Sergeant Claus of the United States Air Force. I remember his name forever. And I have a plan for you. And I said, I'll bite. So I went down to Owensboro, Kentucky, and I met with the recruiter and, signed up. And then, the following, once I graduated high school, I enlisted in the Air Force once I turned 18. And it was a really, really cool thing. So it gave me something to focus on, something to work towards, and I was sent to Germany and Ramstein in 1998, and I was a C-130 engine mess. I know you guys have probably jumped out of one or two C-130s. I was responsible for fixing the propulsion systems. So I have a background in aerospace propulsion and a applied sciences degree from the CCAF, Community College of the Air Force, in that. So when my parents remodeling the house, I have to fix a lot of stuff. They're like, well, you can fix airplanes. What's wrong with the sink? What's wrong with this? So I would get volunteered to fix things, and I'm kind of like, well, I'm kind of busy, but I'll help out when I can. So that's cool.
That's awesome. So Ramstein, 18 years old, first duty assignment. What was that like?
Amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was pre 9/11. It was a little more of a time. Obviously we're a little more innocent, and security wasn't as strong, and being a back shop propulsion mechanic means like 7:30 to 4, Monday through Friday, weekends off. Kosovo, we had to double up for a few months, but otherwise I was able to, by weekend, the Eurorail, travel Europe, St. Patrick's Day in Dublin. My buddies, we all flew up there. My old man flew over, New Year's in Paris. So these are it was just absolutely epic. So I contrast that with my friend who joined the Army at the same time, who I tried to join me. He got stationed in Georgia. He was not living the same lifestyle that I was living in Germany. Yeah. So I like to remind him of that now and then. Oh, remember that time we were in Amsterdam for New Year's? Oh, you weren't there. That's right. You were in Georgia. Remember that time we were in St. Patrick's Day in Dublin and we saw U2 in concert and drank the Guinness from the Oh, that's right. You were in Georgia. So that's how we do. We all tease each other. So nice. It was incredible. What it did was it really gave me a global perspective. Right. Because being centrally located in Europe, just a few hours from multiple languages, multiple cultures. And so what it really did was open my eyes that most humans across the world want the same things. They want peace. They want a family. They love their kids. They want to have a good income. And so, basically all the decisions I make and the things I do is with the higher belief that, we all very much want the same things. And, that's what's given purpose to my startups. So everything I do, unless it has a positive effect on society, I won't touch it. It's just not worth my time. And so that's kind of what's, fast forward many years later, but that's kind of what's driven me now is, those types of experiences that we're given. And we know how humbling enlisting, I know you're both officers, but enlisting at slick sleeves, nothing on my shoulder, 18 years old, scared to death. It creates a mindset and a resiliency that, you still have today. Right. And it's super cool. And, I've kind of coached a few of my families and in-laws, and their sons get to be about 17, 18, not quite sure what to do. And I'm like, join the Air Force. Yeah. Join the Air Force. So
definitely not.
I wish I would have done that. I said, that's amazing advice. My mother gave me the same advice. My dad was a retired 30 years Chief Master Sergeant. I tried to go in the Air Force. Let's be honest. I did. And somehow I ended up in the Army. But Marty, he, like you, I think he was that young 18-year-old steely-eyed slick sleeve that went to basic and joined the Army. So you see the difference. You look young. Marty looks kind of old with a gray and all that stuff. So obviously it's because he was in the Army.
Yeah.
I had a different life. I was in Georgia.
Yeah. You were in Georgia,
But I was in Georgia, but I got to parachute into Egypt and Panama, Belgium, did, the Belgian Commando MTT, Australia. So I had some experiences.
Amazing.
Not quite the same as, drinking over there, but like I was saying, it's definitely better than Navy.
Better for me.
Definitely better than the Navy life. I did the Navy life for 40 days before a mission, and it was absolutely miserable. I don't know how people do that.
Stop picking on Jose.
Can't do it. Oh, is Jose here today?
Yeah, Jose's watching. Stop picking on the Navy.
I didn't even notice Jose was here today. Sorry, I'll stop. But so you did that, and then you did what? One tour active?
I did 4 years active, and then I at the time coming back to the States, I was married. I had a baby who's now 21. She's all grown up, and then the West Virginia Air National. I was looking at different universities because I wanted to transfer and join the West Virginia Air National Guard. Had C-130s, and they had a slot open for an E5 at my skill level. And I was looking at a few universities, and they said, well, because we're state, National Guard, and West Virginia is a state school, we'll waive your tuition and give you your GI Bill to live on. And Morgantown, West Virginia is not DC. It's very reasonable. So with the GI Bill, my weekend drill, and the part-time gigs that I was doing on the side, mowing yards and doing things like this, I was able to support us and get my bachelor's degree there. And when I wasn't activated, so I did get activated, and that was in 2003. So I was in Oman as guitar and bagroom, and so I was a flying mechanic. So that's what we did. Whatever people call, and they don't have the same type of fire to get picked up and fixed when they're at Qatar as they were in bagroom. Little for some reason, right? They get me out of here now. Come get us right now. So the cool thing about being an aircraft mechanic is pilots are real nice to you.
Right.
So they're real nice to you. So that's one of the things that was cool. I was like, well, calling my first name are you going to yell at me? Is this like basic? They're like, no, you're fixing the plane that I'm flying. I don't want you mad at me, and I want you very, very careful of what you do. Yeah. So I had that perspective for a while. I was like, cool. So we're friends. We're good. You're officers, but we're cool because we're taking care of the things that keep you moving. So
I always loved how the Air Force just happened to break down at Hickam and in the Azores.
We did that. We actually broke down the Azores on the way back from the desert for some reason.
I was like, okay, that was my first time doing bullfighting. I didn't realize what bullfighting was. I thought I was going to watch it. I didn't know I was going to be the entertainment, which in the Azores is, for them, bullfighting is more running of the bulls. Yep. And I was a drunken, unwilling participant at the time. But yeah, we did that after we were coming back. We had just parachuted into Normandy, and we were on our way back to Georgia. And yeah, suddenly, oh, got to sit here for 48 hours.
So now we know who was behind that. Justin was behind those landings. We're having mechanical issues right now. So let's land here in the Azores.
Well, yeah. I'm sure the pilots I'm sure that whole crew was loving it because they just spent a week in Normandy for the 60th D-Day reenactment and then breakdown in the Azores. So not bad.
When you were doing the assigned to the C-130s, did you actually have to wear a flight suit too while you were a mechanic, or did you just wait till you know?
Yeah, we just wore BDUs. Gotcha. The crew chiefs wear the flight suits. We were covered in JP8 and all kind of nasty stuff most of the time. So it's just like,
so you did all the dirty work while the pilots and the flight crew would wear the flight suits downtown, and I got you.
Yeah. No, when I was active duty, I was stationed in Arkansas. My second duty station was Little Rock. I started doing night classes, stuff like this. I'd be out in the flight line. That was my flight line job. And I'd go straight to class. We had University of Maryland on base in Arkansas State, ASU BB. And I would come in there and I'd be up there working on a speed switch or, a fuel part. And, it would run down my back and I would just reek. So I know that when I would go to class, everybody would sit away from me because I smelled so bad, like JP8 and oil and everything. I was a smelly guy in the back, and I was like, "Well, I'm here, My homework was dirty. I was, I got as clean as I possibly could, but I was like, I got my education here. I'm going to do it. So I, put 12 hours on the flight line, and then go crank out a class or two, and that's, it was a good time.
So what's one of those lessons that you learned in the Air Force that you still carry with you today?
Attention to detail. It's remarkable because I know that I think back and, the little lessons about, you look at a C-130, it's called a T-56 is the propulsion system they have. And there's roughly 300,000 parts in that thing. Mm-hmm. And all it would take is one bolt, one loose this, one loose that. Yeah. And that could take a plane down. And so it's dead serious how you have to be about that. And the problem is when I get home and things aren't that important and I'm that picky about them, I had to really learn to not see it because I was trained to see every little detail, a piece of safety wire, nut and bolt. And, that's not right. And this can't be here. And whoa, that's not done just quite right. And so, and then I go to work on my Chevy Blazer. And I'm trying to carry the same, and I'm like, wait a second, this is getting really expensive, replacing every little. So it's kind of like I had to learn that. But to your point, is the attention to detail is something that's always in my head. I've learned to control it better now because I'm just becoming an OCD weirdo, noticing every single little small thing. And my daughter used to be like, seriously, this is too much. You're being way too critical. And so, and most people don't like that. They do like it when you're flying on an airplane that you've worked on, but when you're looking at their bedroom or picking out their homework or looking at so the attention to detail is something that it really drive into you basically from my job. And so I always have that today. And, it's done great. And I just learned to control that power.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. So it's one of the big things I picked up on.
Jose's got a comment. He's concerned about chow. Is it true that you have a waiter that brings you chow in the Air Force?
Not usually. But I have been into dining facilities where they do have people serve you. Maybe not the entire meal, but they bring you drinks and they bring you trays and things like that.
I was just impressed in Guam that they took our plates after us, I think it was. I was like, what the? This is so not Army. It's so weird.
Yep.
Wasn't out of a bag. But
they had fourth meal. Our training facility. The dining facility in Germany is better than a major university. They have the fat-free milk, the chocolate milk. It's good eating.
We were doing bilats, and we came in. I think we just finished an op. It was like midnight. We hit to midnight chow. It was in the field. We're like midnight chow in the field just already blew my mind. Then we walked in. They were doing steak, and I remember I said there was an Air Force guy next to me, and I said, "Steak." The guy goes, I know, we had that last night. I was like,
yeah.
No. Mine is like really, we're having steak? I literally lived off a stripped down MRE for 2 days. And
we had surf and turf sometimes.
That's pretty awesome.
So the moral of the story is join the Air Force. That's what everyone's saying during our show. Marty, you're the official Air Force sponsor now, right? Recruiter.
Yeah. It's a pretty good lie. I'll push my kids to the Air Force. Definitely not Navy though.
Definitely not Navy. He's got to be Air Force.
But so, what got you into? You were at WVU and you got your degree. What was your degree in?
Marketing through the business school, B&E. I had talked to some people and thought about, kind of my next step was after being an aircraft mechanic and sales kind of to me, and talking to a lot of very successful people, they said, the one skill set that you have to have no matter what you do in business is sales. Learn sales when you're young, when you don't know what you're talking about, and you have tons of energy and you can't screw it up too bad. They'll just get told no. And so learn sales. I said, okay, what's the closest thing to a sales degree? They don't have a sales degree or a business development degree. So you have a marketing degree, which is obviously different than sales, but a lot of the very similar concepts. So the psychology behind it, the questions asked, the learning, research, all that's tied to the marketing. So that's why I chose the marketing. And so I had some really cool professors at WVU, and they were very pro-military. WVU is a very pro-military school. They gave me great credits for my active duty. And plus, they got a cool football team and basketball team, and they're up the mountains. It's beautiful up there. Yeah. It's a true college experience. Leaving there, I felt very comfortable. And so I got my marketing degree, and I was actually finishing up. I finished school in August because I had been pushed out a little bit because of that. And then I took a couple TDYs because I was still in the National Guard because my term wasn't up till October. So I managed to land myself a month in Puerto Rico, a month in Germany, and then a month back in Puerto Rico to finish off my military career. And so there were some pina coladas down on the beach at the ESJ in Puerto Rico. We went another fun trip. I mean, I had some rough deals here. We paddled at night and saw the bioluminescence and all the little crustaceans that light up, and we swam around and saw the dolphins and things. And then in Germany, we were there in the fall, so we did a couple of more Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So that was a few more, among the locals, and then packed up my car, literally a U-Haul, and drove to California straight to San Diego, and started interviewing for jobs. And within about a month, I had landed, and it was a mortgage bank, and they were actually hiring for a management training program specifically targeting degreed NCOs and officers. And so there was Navy, Naval Academy grad, 2 West Points, very, very great caliber people. And I was able to get myself into that role. And then I learned real professional, carrying the bag, knocking on doors, hustling loans, underwriting loans on the fly. We were still doing the paper. This is before everything was digital and stuff. And so, the biggest thing I learned from that role, it was management training. So it was my first civilian professional job, was how to write a professional email, like how to interact in a meeting, right. how to not call everybody sir, how to not, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things I had to, and luckily it was a group of guys and girls who had been mostly active duty and officers, and we all kind of got it together. Like, okay, you don't have to call him sir, and we were so fired up. We got our first job. They were paying us $5,000 a month. So going from an E5 to making $60,000 a year, guaranteed. I was like, wow. And I can have the weekends off and I can wear what I want. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So what it did was I met the 2 founders of that, and they wound up becoming wildly wealthy because of that thing. One of them was a Navy captain in the reserves. But I listened to them and their venture capital stories and how they leveraged and took out bank, credit cards and personal loans to start this company. And they're both worth, tens of millions of dollars now. But it stuck in my head that somewhere down the line, I'm going to want to be one of those guys. How do I get there? Right? How do I get there? And so, and they told me, how many years of experience and how long. They were both in their late 40s before they started this. Right? So they weren't the 21-year-old, Mark Zuckerbergs. They were pretty experienced business people. And I said, okay, they both have, what do they have? They have MBAs. Okay, they have MBAs. They have experience. They both have military. So that company wound up, after they sold out, it went under because of the 2008 financial crisis, just like many other types of deals. But that also taught me a lesson, right? So the key to entrepreneurship, I think, is not looking at failure as failure, but looking at failure as education, right? And I trust me, I've had some problems and some failures and some ups and some downs. You learn so much from that. And the people that keep going, who don't give up, who never back down, are the ones. And you can hear, Mark Cuban is stuck in my head. He's like, you only have to be right once, right? You could fail for 10 years. You could fail at everything as long as you're learning and moving forward and getting better every single time. Because the person that you are today, you're not going to call it a failure. You've learned from it.
Right.
I won't make the same mistake twice. I'll make new mistakes, right? Because we're always going to do that, but I'm not going to make the same mistake. And when you're really in the game and you're really borrowing money and you're really hiring people and you're dealing with these things, it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a journey, and it's a marathon, and it's not a sprint. And maybe you are in your 40s before you do it. Maybe you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s. But you just gotta learn from it in your experience. And I think part of it too is, as a veteran, you don't equate your experience as transferable to civilian experience, but man, is it helpful, because you have a grit. A lot of people haven't been down in their skivvy, screamed at and belittled in a large group of people for a long period of time, right? And that's the easy part. That's the basic training part. So you learn to grow a thick skin, and you learn to adapt quickly. These are all very much skill sets that make a successful entrepreneur. So don't sell yourself short. Those are good things. And to find the networks. We talk about Bunkerlabs and the cohort we just had. I really, really enjoy helping the other veteran founders with their ideas, with their pitches, with their, I've been, doing these startups for, 2016 going on, a few years now. And I learned just as much doing all that as I did in my MBA, if not more, because MBA, the worst thing, you fail a class. Entrepreneur, worst thing, you fail, you lose everything. You can't eat, you don't have a place to live. There's a lot of downfalls on that side. So, but I do kind of draw back on my people were like, this is really scary, this is stressful, I don't know how to handle this. And I said, well, how many RPGs are being shot at us? How much real physical danger are you in right this second? Most of it is in your head. You're more scared about what may happen. The likelihood of all those things happening bad all at once, very, very slim. Yeah. And no one's really trying to kill you or blow you up. They might be trying to put you out of business. Right. But those are different. Those are a lot different levels of commitment, and so that's how it was. So that experience with the mortgage banking, that went under, and then I went to go work at a small business, and I was able to work really closely with the two founders, and it was about a $25 million a year top line revenue company that they had built in medical and vision, and I saw that they weren't perfect, they weren't magic. They were both MBAs. They were both very intelligent, but they took the risk. They borrowed money and they took the risk, right? And you can't win if you don't play. No one's ever won the lottery by not buying a ticket, right? And so, for several years, I worked with them in business development and sales, building up distribution, understanding people, traveling a lot of the U.S. because I hadn't traveled the U.S. a lot because I joined when I was a kid. So I traveled way more countries than I had done states. Right. And so, all these different parts of the country. I'd never been to Oklahoma before, or Washington State, or all these different places. So it really educated me to how different parts of the country are and what people are motivated on. And working there for that long, it gave my business partner on New Eyes. We started an augmented reality smart glass company that essentially creates screens and a camera for people who are legally blind, to empower them, let them see things they normally couldn't do. We actually got VA coverage. They're still in business today. It's worth a significant amount of money. I still own a pretty significant equity share in there. Hopefully one day that chip comes in. But was like, we raised a couple $1 million. We got revenue to, by now in the millions. I think there's about 7 or 8 employees now full time. There's probably, 30 or 40 distributors. It's out there. So if anyone's listening who is struggling with visual impairment, legal blindness, macular degeneration, things like that, nueyes.com, and it's covered by the VA. So they're a couple $1,000 a pair. So if they're tough to pay for personally, but if you're VA status, they do cover them if you qualify. So
Wow.
I'll just put a little plug in. I still have that piece, and and that goes back to I felt good about it. It helps people who are legally blind live better lives. How do you say no to that, right? Like how do you not get excited about doing that?
Right.
Was there for several years, and then went to go into startup consulting, and worked in hemp. And this is kind of, I went to a cannabis facility that actually does the oil. They do the distillate for the pens, and just, my 16-year-old self walking into a facility that has thousands of pounds of marijuana making these pens. It was just like, wow, this is legal. This is crazy. And worked there for a while, helped discover what their problem was. Their employees were stealing from them. So I figured that out in a few weeks. So that consulting job moved on. And then I went to go to work at a hemp, and this is the farm bill compliant. They were making large scale CBD, and I'm a big fitness person. Health and fitness is kind of my jam. And then I realized that these hemp seeds they have are packed with beautiful protein. And with the new startup, we're able to take the center of that seed and make a plant-based protein that is hypoallergenic, meaning that if you have any food allergies, you can eat this. Now the old kind of hemp proteins were ground and grainy and flavor's not so good. So I was kind of like, that's not cool. I don't want to do with that. But we discovered this new way to make it that makes it colorless, flavorless. It mixes easy with water. And, this is what Marty was talking about at the event the other day. We made a vegan, plant-based, organic chocolate shake. And so sweetened with organic dates and raw cacao, a little bit of pink Himalayan salt, some organic vanilla, and a little bit of coconut milk. And it went fast, right? It was nice and hot in DC that day, and people were walking in. They put me right by the front door. So I had the Vitamix going, and I was just pouring little shots of it. And I said, well, there's a good serving of plant-based protein in there. And it's really, the reception's been well. So, eventually we'd like to get it into MRE. So if anyone works in the defense food, basically MRE group in the Army, reach out, because this is no THC, it's no CBD, there's no anything. It's literally just plant protein. Oh, it's not the flour, and the shell is gone. And we have test results that the fancy machines that we use to test down to 0.001 percent. So it's less than 0.001% parts per million. So you're talking basically into the billions that we can test. We can't test any further, and there's no THC on there. So I know the concern is, we don't want troops, ingesting THC, but there is none here. The cool thing too is that it's vegan, right? So I know a lot of young people are vegan, and you hand a new recruit vegan MRE, and they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Or if someone, you're trying to make your numbers and quota as a recruiter, you could say, hey, here's a vegan MRE, right? How cool is that, right? And it's halal, it's kosher, it's all the religious certifications as well. So getting back to the health and fitness part is that this is good, right? We're finding a new way, a new supply chain, a new source of protein for because it's becoming a national security issue. Let's be real here, right? It really is something that we need to do. And the beauty of this Farm Bill hemp compliant hemp is that there's the bioremediation of it. The more we grow, the more greenhouse gas we reverse. And it reverse an acre of mature hemp bioremediates the air 25 times better than an acre of hardwood forest. So we literally should be growing this everywhere. And then the stalks and the stems of it are stronger than steel. So we should be making, building materials, hempcrete, all these things. This is all in the future. This is going to happen. The lowest hanging fruit part of this is that let's get this protein going. Americans need to eat more protein and less carbohydrates. And so this ingredient, the goal is to make it a staple, a made in USA, veteran owned staple of protein that can go into all these things. And we need healthier, stronger, and this is kind of leads to the reason why we call it Agoge is, if you're familiar, Agoge is kind of the process of Spartans becoming, Spartan warriors, and it's tests of strength and will and learning new things and pushing yourself, and we're going to have to do that as a society and as a human race to be better to our earth. We're gonna have to make changes and challenges, and that's why I felt like the word Agoge and even the Agoge Life, I added the life to it, to where we need to start learning that and finding better solutions to these giant problems that we have. And so, living that Agoge life, living that healthy plant-based protein life gets me fired up every day.
So I thought you said you majored in marketing. You got a little chemistry. You got everything now, right?
Yeah. Well, in California, there's a quick story too about my MBA. I did a master's in business administration. For someone who had a 1.8 GPA in high school, I was able to get an MBA from the University of Southern California. But it was a long road to get there. And, I took the GMAT. I hired a retired mathematics professor from Stanford to coach me and tutor me so I could do well on the GMAT. And the first two scores I made, I can't submit this. And the third time, it was in the range. It was in the upper percentile, and it made me a candidate. But I didn't want to just email it in. So I was in LA. I was living in Newport Beach down in Orange County, and I drove to LA, and I said, I'm just going to go and deliver it in person. And I walked in, and there was the two women who ran the office for the admissions director. They were sitting there kind of having their hands crossed. They're looking at me, and I walked in, and I said, I'd like to turn this. They said, well, we can't even accept it because our computers are down. And I was like, computers are down? They're like, yep. I said, okay. Well, they said, well, her name is Jeanette. She's running late. She'll be here in a little bit. Why don't you have a seat? So we started talking, and they asked me about background, and they were very, very, very from military families. Mm-hmm. And I told them my story and about my daughter and living overseas, and they said, cool. And you want to go to school here? Yes, I do. We're very good military, pro-military, good resources here. I said, fantastic. And you have arguably one of the top entrepreneur schools in the world, MBA programs. A lot of MySpace, and the founders of MySpace went to the program. Mark Benioff from Salesforce, mm-hmm. On and on and on. Many successful people. Mm-hmm. And when the admissions director walked in, I could hear them whispering, and he's Air Force. He's here, and she hadn't had her makeup on, her hair was a mess, and she's like, oh my gosh, the traffic on the 405. She was all stressed out. So she goes, we don't do interviews for this program. Personal right now. We might change that in the future. I said, yeah. She goes, well, go wait in the office. I'll give you 15 minutes. And lo and behold, her dad was a retired Air Force officer. And, she had lived in Germany. She lived a lot of the places I've been stationed and stuff. And I handed her my score, and 2 weeks later I got accepted. And it was kind of like, from a oil covered engine troop out on the flight line to sitting in a room full of people that are, Stanford grads, and we had a Harvard grad, a lot of UCLA grads and Berkeley grads. And it was kind of like, man, you can do it if you work hard, right? And it's not easy, right? You have to do what other people, there's a saying that I have a lot of these sayings. Marty was the group with Bunkerlabs, you have to do what others don't to achieve what others won't, right? So whatever you're doing, everybody else is doing the same thing. You got to do something different. You got to break out. My grandfather used to say, get noticed. Right? It's always get noticed. And so if that's, volunteering, if it's interning, if it's, the growth mindset means that you've never learned it all. You're an empty cup. You always have to add to it. You think I knew anything about plant protein, right? 2, 3, 4 years ago, you know, did I know anything about augmented reality smart glasses before that? Did I know anything about fixing airplanes before that? So, you know, it's just, if you keep yourself open to new ideas and don't think that the people, you know, kind of with the company, the banking company I was at, oh, well, they're just geniuses. I'll never be at that level. It's impossible I could ever do these types of things they do. Don't sell yourself short. You know, they came from somewhere too. And so I think that's part of the deal is when you come from the military background, you're so bent on, you know, serving and doing things the hard way. And, you know, that's them and that's not me, especially in the enlisted ranks. Like, no, man, like these are people that just did things a little differently when you didn't, and it's not over. And if you look up, there's a lot of people who've come from that background and they've, you know, kind of channeled that drive. And you know what? Screw it, man. I'm going to go for it. What's the worst thing? I failed. Right? Call it failure. Call it learning. I call it learning. You know, and it's painful at times and it's humbling, which is what people need. Sometimes I myself have been very humbled in a few ways. You know, it makes you more open to other people's ideas and their suggestions. And, you know, these startups and these, you know, the successes that I've had are a result of me being willing to listen and learn and not shutting my head off, you know, shutting my brain and my idea off to other people's opinions and things, because there's opportunities lurking around every corner. It's like, oh, well, I didn't put the money on Bitcoin. I missed it. Okay, cool. Well, there's going to be on and on and on opportunities in life. Humans progress. New things happen. Learn from it. Okay, you missed that one, right? It's kind of like, you know, that, you know, you just try again. It's like the next at bat, right? You know, if the game doesn't end at second inning because you struck out, learn from it. What did you do? You went high, you went low, you missed a knuckle, whatever it is. You know, learn from it in the next one. Most entrepreneurs don't make it big on their first try. That's the exception, not the rule. You know. So
when you start your podcast or your show, so we could get some motivation. I just got motivated right now. I felt the energy just hit me through the screen. So you know, you're starting your podcast so we can get other people tuned in to hear message.
We'll see eventually. You guys got the podcast. You don't need me. Well,
we're not the legend, you are. So I mean, that's the whole point. You know, it's just amazing. I could, you know, your story it resonates with me because it's like, hey, look, you can do anything that you put your mind to because you've been able to do that. Most people wouldn't hand deliver their scores to USC. They're going to sit back and let things happen. And, you know, to be honest, I've been guilty of that several times in my life. So I've been trying to break free of that as well. But just very inspirational because you can, you know, your story would be great for the military veterans that are listening out here, or anyone, because it shows that, hey, look, you could start from this, but then you know where you wanted to go and where you want to be. So it's an amazing story, Justin.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short, and don't, you know, again, if everybody's doing the same thing, you got to stand out, right? Take the extra step. If I don't deliver that piece of paper, I don't get into that school, I don't have the connections and the experiences that I have to raise the capital to start the startups, right? It's a domino effect. And one, you know, it's kind of like, you know, one little bump. I think about that there's a game called Pong. This is one of the first video game, I think maybe the first video game, where there's two blocks and they bounce and they ding, ding, right? So what you're doing is when you're getting focused and motivated and pushing, that one little bump, you have no idea the effect that could have and the trajectory that could change your life, right? And so you have to make sure you think about that every single time you make a decision. Like, what could this do? Like, how could this take me? You know, and put yourself out there. Take risks. Don't be afraid that people are going to look at you, or, you know, talk about you, or have this thing about you. It's like, man, we're only on this earth so a short period of time, right? And you know, make it count, right? Don't be afraid. Like, I've been laughed at and failed and had to beg, borrow, and get by and everything else, and I wouldn't change a thing. Right? And you know, when I went to my 20-year high school reunion, you know, they were flabbergasted. They didn't kind of understand where this all came from, because I wasn't the straight A student. I wasn't the captain of the football team. I wasn't these things, and I was still able to accomplish quite a bit. And I just getting started, man. Like I'm just getting in my groove, right? I'm just now getting in my groove. And what I really like is firing up other vets, bringing other vets. Because if I'm looking at a E3 or an E4, maybe I got an E5 who's just about to get out of service, and they're just like, I don't know what to do, and oh my gosh, I got to go back to the town I came from and do the same thing. All my family's, man, you got a GI Bill in your pocket that's worth $250,000, right? If you have to go to a community college and crank out credits and get a good GPA and apply in, show up, take the risks, get noticed, ask the questions, right? Always, don't be afraid. The one thing is that in life, people get what they ask for. And if you don't ask for anything, you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the secret too is, you get out as an E5. I can tell you from the officer perspective, it's the same for us. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I chose the path of least resistance because I felt like that was the way I was supposed to go, and made some changes. So I think the moral of the story is I think we're all just trying to figure it out, especially during that transition and transformation. And some of us have it a little bit smoother than others, but it's about the plan and the intention, setting the expectations that you want, your intentions, so you can move forward and be who you want to be. So, I mean, it's an inspirational story to me. I was an E5 on paper in the National Guard for about 2 years. But other than that, I can tell you, I've been trying to figure things out still. That's why I just called Marty up and say, hey, what should I be doing right now?
Yeah. What are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
How are we going to spend our time?
Exactly.
Yeah. It was funny the other day. I was in the gym and I bumped into a gentleman. He asked me to spot him. He's kind of a bigger guy and he's a lot of tattoos. And he's like, "Hey man, thanks. I'm Justin." I said, "Well, I'm Justin." And he had a crew cut, basically. And he's like, "I just got out of the Marine Corps." And I was like, "That's cool, man. I was in the Air Force." And he's like, "Man, I went to one time we went to a chow hall in the Air Force base." And I always get one of those stories. And I said, "Cool." And he's going into finance, and he told me a story about having to eat a MRE packed with soy protein, 10 grams of protein. He goes, "Man, I'm an E2. I'm in the desert, and I am buying beef jerky so I can get enough protein for my body because the MRE only has 10 grams." He goes, "It just, dude, and I don't make a lot of money, and beef jerky is like $8 for a little bag of it." And he goes, "That's what sustained me because it would stay hot, cold, dry, whatever." And he's like, "Man, I just couldn't even tell you how awesome it would have been to have, a 20 or 30 gram protein, plant-based in my MRE." So he goes, the energy it gives you, we're lifting stuff, we're carrying, racks, we're doing all these things that are physically demanding. And he's like, "Man, I can't wait till it's out. I'm going to tell the whole world about it." So I was like, it's better known, made in USA, and it's like, wow, that's super cool. So that little things like that get me fired up. And he's like, he's still in college, but I think he'll be hitting me up here once he's finished school. Be some good sales reps going out. I want to hire all vets to go out there and work with your organization too to kind of target that. But it's just like 5 years ago, what you're going to be doing hemp protein powders that it's selling that into the what? So there's always new ideas. There's always these new industries. Don't think that the ship's passed you by or you've missed out the last ticket. That mindset will really hold you up. Think, wow, that's awesome that those people were able to jump and they were ready, right? The worst thing that you can do is have an opportunity and not be ready. So prepare yourself, learn as much as you can, read the books, make the network, find the mentors, because if you're prepared when that opportunity hits you in the hands, the odds of success are multiple, right? And if you're just kind of sitting around waiting for something to fall, the only thing that's gonna fall on you is bird poop, right? You got to get out there and do it, right? You got to get fired up. You got to own your own path. You have to realize that if you want to get it done, get it done. We live in this amazing country where people can pull themselves up literally from the bootstraps, from nothing. And when my parents were born, they were living in a trailer. My kids, they were young, literally came from nothing. And, it put a chip on my shoulder. And it's old Johnny Cash song, gravel in your gut and spit in your eye, because he was named Sue, boy named Sue. Yep. And so, it puts this type of tenacity in you that you absolutely have to have as an entrepreneur, because every day is going to be a challenge and you're constantly solving problems. And, once you learn to live in the ambiguity and enjoy the challenge, it's addicting. I'd have a hard time going and working in a corporation and, following all these types of rules and stuff, and only working at certain hours and things like this. It's like, I'd drive everybody crazy because, it'd be just too much. So,
Justin, we're at the top of the hour, brother.
Yeah.
It is time to ask you, hey, you served, you've sacrificed. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means to me is being able to be who you are, being able to pursue things without. I mean, think about it this way: if you lived in a country where you weren't allowed to do the things I've been able to do, if you were born to a caste system, there are certain countries that still have those caste systems. No matter how smart you are, how hard you work, you can't break out of that caste, right? We don't have that in our country. You have freedom. It doesn't mean that it's not earned, but it means that you literally can set your own, course in life here. If you're a female, you can do it. A lot of countries, you don't have that. A lot of significantly impressive female entrepreneurs in our country that grind and do such amazing things. In countries, they don't have that. So to me, it means opportunity. It means freedom to speak your mind. It means freedom to chase your dreams. And that's what our country's all about.
Oh, I appreciate that. I love the answer, especially because it really is. It's freedom to choose your own destiny. Mm-hmm. Make it happen. Not choose, but make it happen, I suppose.
Make it happen. Yep. It's because you have to make it happen. It's not gonna, just find you one day unless you.
And then, thanks to Bunkerlabs, we're giving them the freedom means for bringing all this together, because they brought, as you saw in the comments, you and me, and now James and Donnell and Jen Pasquale, everyone there. Bunkerlabs made this moment happen, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, 22A, and thank you, Blake.
Yeah. So thanks, Nick, for being out there. You'll get your hat, and it won't be the one that he wears. That's what you want, brother.
Yeah, you got to get that special bend, though. I don't want just a flat bill. I want that special bend.
There you go.
That Kentucky bend right there.
There you go. There you go. That's that sharpshooter bow.
We appreciate it, brother. We'll put you in the green room, but thanks for being our legend today, and thanks for an amazing episode.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, James. Great episode with Justin. I mean, so much knowledge there.
Yeah.
He didn't even get to tell the story about how he looked at all the license plate and decided that's where he was going to go to college. We'll have him on, and we'll do another one of those.
100%. Yeah, just showing you the power of your mind. And a lot of times we just got to get out of our own way, out of our own minds, and stop worrying about what other people think. I've been guilty of this so many times still, right?
Right. So I appreciate it. And then if you haven't signed up yet, please, if you're a business owner and you want to close more deals, go check out go.jtf214.com. Tomorrow at 11 Eastern, we go live, and we'll do basically about 90 minutes of training on how to create online sales scripts that close. And we do that not just with us, but also with Donald Miller of StoryBrand, and James and I as StoryBrand certified guides. We provide that opportunity for you each and every month. This month is online sales scripts. Next month is how to create lead generating assets. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
So
we get picked on sometimes, right? We get told, hey, it's for free. Well, in this case, Marty and I love to give back. That's why we do it for free. This is our opportunity to give back to those that have supported us in our business. So that's why we choose to do it for free in this case.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We have another legend coming on next week. Going to hear her story, and it's pretty awesome. So look forward to it, and we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Lounge with Legends show, countering the narrative that veterans are all broken misfit toys. Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom. Serving in harsh situations, coupled with their training, have forged them into some of the most resilient and capable leaders in the world. And that's where we come in, celebrating the success stories, taking you on a journey of transformation from military to business. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. But find us on Facebook at Lounge with Legend or at JTF214. Till next time.